Hey, it's me again. I didn't expect so many people to watch my video. Thanks. I'm gonna read today one of the articles I wrote on my website. It's kind of how my adoption, how I found out that it was illegal and that I came from like a child trafficking network. And how I found like my lawyers that my parents used and the lady who ran my orphanage, were arrested for those crimes. So it's written like to read, so it's not gonna be, I, I say that I'm a writer, not like a, on camera, but I think it's important to share. And so I'm just gonna read it. Forgive me for messing up because I'm nervous. And yeah, I think it's really important to talk about. So, okay. It's called Bridging the Past, How My Adoption Led Me to Guatemala's Child Trafficking Network. And then also if you go on the website, you can see my receipt and see like the name of the lawyer and the other lady of the orphanage and the price, for me and stuff like that. I don't know why I'm so nervous. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm just gonna read it. Okay. For many years, my adoption story remained consistent. There was no specific moment of revelation. I simply seemed to have always known. As I grew, my questions evolved, but the core narrative remained unchanged. During my formative years, I developed a deep love for reading, like the Berenstain Bears, Little Bear, Franklin, and the Froggy series. They became my companions. After school, I'd disembark from the bus and facing what felt like an endless walk home, though it was much likely only a quarter-mile walk. It still it still seems like a lot longer even today. Okay, so I cherished the solitary journey. Surrounded by nature's quietude, I was alone with my thoughts, free to engage in internal conversations and explore the world around me. It was an opportunity for introspection that I held dear. On one occasion, I even encountered a bear. Yet, my fondest memories were crossing the bridge daily after it rained to see the water like moving like really fast. I can't quite recall my age during these moments, but I was probably like first, second grade or something. It was during these walks that I first began to grapple with emotions I couldn't quite comprehend. In my imaginative child's mind, I often pretended that animals from my books were my companions. I would sometimes fantasize about taking their offspring or eggs, an act that gave me a peculiar sense of empowerment. I suppose it was my way of making sense of underlying subconscious trauma, even though I didn't fully understand it at the time. This early emotional complexity, I later learned, was tied to the developmental trauma of being separated from my biological mother. Infants in the womb can recognize voices, songs, emotions, difference in languages, and the separation from their mother has a profound impact. Research shows that this separation alters an infant's body chemistry and affects their long-term development. So my story, quote, that I grew up on up until I was in 2020, I don't know, like 22, 21, 23, I don't know. But this is like the original story. My adoption story began in Guatemala City, where my biological mother gave birth to me in the general hospital. She provided a false name and address before leaving me at the hospital where I eventually was placed into a local orphanage run by a woman named Helen from Ohio, a white lady. To my understanding, my parents placed an ad in the local newspaper asking for her to come forward. Also, that the local police went to the address that she provided, and nobody at the address knew someone by that name or description. My adoptive parents came into this picture as the wait for adopting Chinese girls was long. They decided to adopt a Guatemalan child by suggestion of their adoption liaison. They visited me in the orphanage, and soon we embarked on the paperwork, visa requirements, and vaccinations necessary to fulfill all immigration laws. The transition from Guatemala to my new family in Tigard, Oregon was filled with memorable moments captured in photographs. My parents shared my story openly of being left in the hospital, etc. I accepted it without issue. Over the years, I occasionally searched for names from my adoption paperwork online, fueled by curiosity rather than an urgent quest for answers. The year 2020 and the global pandemic provided me with ample time for deeper research into my adoption. I delved into the dark web, VPNs, and Tor, learning how to access archived documents through website code and backlinks. I engaged with other Guatemalan adoptees and adoptive parents, gathering stories and context about the adoption process in Guatemala. I'm just like so nervous. Like I have a headache. I'm okay. Through extensive research, I discovered a peculiar website containing a treasure trove of archived documents related to adoption, human trafficking, human rights violations, and UN reports. This website was active up until 2010 or 2011, after which it went silent, but it's still active. It's not in there, but I did look into like the domain, who it was registered, but it's privated. But that it was renewed, and someone's still obviously paying for the website to still be up, but I still don't know how to contact them. But yeah, the site was active up to 2010 or 2011, then it went quiet. I found names from my adoption files on the site connecting me to a woman named Susanna as well as Helen. There's some variation on their names, so I'm not going to say like their last name. I mean, I'll post it in the comments or whatever. But, and then Susanna, she had a lot of different aliases, but she's like, Susanna is a person. It's just the last names or whatever. She'll like switch them up or something. So Susanna, was the wife of the Guatemalan Supreme Court Justice, so she held a powerful role in facilitating adoptions and just in general. She negotiated prices for children and allowed adoptive parents to specify their preferences, including skin color, gender, and ancestry. She orchestrated meetings between adoptive parents and children while ensuring secrecy among all involved parties. The website unveiled the hierarchical structure of child trafficking networks, highlighting the exploitation of the legal loopholes in the process that they used. Susanna's involvement led her to be charged in court with extensive involvement in child trafficking and the creating of the network itself, but she seemed to have vanished afterward. One chilling story described was how she facilitating a meeting between adoptive parents and a stolen child while the child's mother cried outside of the building that they were in, held at gunpoint, unable to intervene, and then was escorted off of the property. Um, the Guatemalan government the Guatemalan government's use of DNA testing has revealed cases of children being placed with adoptive parents who were not biologically related, leading to reunions with their birth family. Sorry, that's really confusing. I meant to say it was proven like the people who were like giving away their child or placing them up for adoption, that they themselves were like the actual biological, like I gave birth to them. But the government used different, like the DNA testing, to say like, you're not related to this child, how did you get it, and then even though the adoption process went through, and the child is living in like Canada or the United States, because it's happened a lot, it will reverse it essentially, or give the child an option to like go back to their original family, and like, because they were stolen in the first place. So yeah, sorry, that was a little confusing. Many Guatemalan women were deceived into sending their children into live-in schools or daycare centers, believing it was the best way to secure their education or future. Unbeknownst to them, children were often taken and sold for profit. The complicity of various parties, including local authorities, made it nearly impossible for these mothers to seek justice. Further exploration on this website led me to the name of my orphanage and articles about Helen, the woman from Ohio who ran it. Helen, too, faced charges related to child trafficking and the acceptance of falsified paperwork. Reflecting on my personal encounter with her at the age of 13 or 14, I noticed an unsettling demeanor in her eyes while viewing old photographs. And it's really creepy. I didn't notice it then, but yeah, it's looking back, it's weird. Sharing my discoveries with fellow Guatemalan adoptees and adoptive parents shed light on half-truths we have been told. It unveiled concealed aspects of the adoption process, such as the use of a secondary orphanage to maintain illusions for adoptive parents. So the kids were normally stored in like these really shacks, not like buildings and stuff like that. But when there were adoptive parents or anything important, they would put the child into these real nice adoptive homes, or like orphanages. And so it was like, oh, these are where they live, but we really weren't in those places. It was just a facade. Yeah. Unveiling this truth has been a painful journey for myself and those who were adopted. It has altered relationships and brought to light uncomfortable realities, including the possibility that some of us may have been products of rape or human trafficking. Nevertheless, acknowledging the truth, no matter how painful, is a crucial step forward to healing. My quest did not end with my online findings, which is ongoing, I sought help for my mental health, undergoing extensive therapy and trying lots of medications. My brain is, I'm sure it's damaged from all that, but it's worth it, I think. Working with a diverse group of therapists and engaging in treatments such as EMDR has been transformative. My mental well-being had became a priority. Unexpectedly, my adoptive mother recently handed me the remaining documents from my adoption, including a receipt revealing the price at which I was bought and sold. This revelation um, has shifted my perspective on my upbringing and my relationship with my adoptive parents. It has also brought to light the ethical complexities surrounding international adoption. As I reflect on my journey, I recognize that it was never my intention to unearth this painful truth. However, confronting it has been a necessary step forward towards understanding myself and my family. It has highlighted the need for transparency and accountability in international adoption, forcing us to grapple with the uncomfortable truths and strive for healing. In my quest for truth, I have not only found answers, but also a deeper understanding of the complex and often painful realities of adoption. While my journey has been arduous, it has ultimately brought me closer to a place of self accepting and healing. My investigative article, An International Child Trafficking Network Guatemala, serves as an introductory deep dive into the intricate hierarchical structure of the Guatemalan child trafficking network. It unveils stories of betrayal, reunions. Oh, it unveils stories of betrayal, reunions of families torn apart, and the critical use of DNA evidence in international cases to confirm the identities of stolen children and much more. This article has emerged unintentionally after many years of my personal investigation into my own history. Period. Yeah, so that was it. I won't go into everything. That was basically what I wanted to share. But that for those adoptees watching or adoptive parents, after I found this out, I didn't have a lot of, I had my own mental health issues like growing up, but after I found out this information, it obviously got worse. And so I've been diagnosed with a handful of different things, and I take medications like in the morning, at night, it's, just to make sure I'm okay. But that one of the things that I'm diagnosed with is this thing called, what is it? Let me see if I found it. Dissociative amnesia. So it's usually when I wake up in the morning, I so sincerely do not know what year it is or where I am. I usually will think that I'm a junior because that year obviously was really hard. Check out my other videos. But so on my phone, anyone's phone, you can ask what day it is, or I won't remember how old I am, and so I'll have to ask Google or whatever when I wake up, and it's it's really hard because it's this such a weird feeling, it's just disorienting, so it's just really hard. So I've had that, and then also I'm looking at the list, and it's a lot of different, should I? No, yeah, it's fine. So I have depression, dissociative amnesia, generalized anxiety, ADHD, a little bit obsessive compulsive, PMDD. So you just get extra depressed before and during my period, which isn't fun. But I found a vitamin that's really good that helps, and so these are all being managed. And then CPTSD. It's complex PTSD. That's what it is. The American diagnostic manual that we're using right now it usually only recognizes like PTSD, which is where there's like one or maybe two instances of like really bad trauma, like you know, like a deployment or something, or like a car crash or something like that, like, and you would get PTSD from that. But with complex PTSD, it's you have had a lot of repeated trauma to you, and so you develop PTSD. But I mean, it says it in the name, it's complex, you know, but it's from different things that it's just a little bit different. And so if anyone has that, I would suggest looking it up, and because it is kind of comforting to know, like, there, you know, like, you know, PTSD, yeah, like it encompasses that feeling, or like the symptoms and stuff like that, but it's there is a difference between one or two significant traumatic events to compare like a traumatic childhood, or if you were like emotionally neglected or something like that. So shout out to my doctors. And then I tried so many different medications. It's literally been so many years, you know, it's like, dang. I just want to feel happy. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share. I'll probably read my other article in a second, but I just wanted to probably split it up a little bit. Okay, bye.